Do you ever love a show so much that you just don't know what to do with yourself now that it's over? Well, I finished Arcane and I just can't stop thinking about it. From the story, music, characters, animation, and literally everything the series has to offer, I just can't get it out of my head. Never in my life did I think I would be interested in anything regarding League of Legends, let alone call a League show top 2 and possibly not 2 shows of all time for me. Now, I know this sounds completely closed-minded, but if you've ever heard the way League players talk about League, then you would understand that even League players hate that damn game.
Yeah, the worst thing about League of Legends is the actual game itself. What the fuck?
And I understand that I'm coming off a bit harsh talking about the franchise regarding the show that I love, but I will say that I have grown to respect League as a franchise immensely. They are successful for a reason, and I can't deny that. However, if there's one thing I have casually noticed when I've had brief glances at League, is that Riot will put some money into their promotion. Just take a look at any of their World Championship music videos or their KDA music videos that they have. Now, let's talk about Arcane. I'm not entirely sure how I started watching the series. If I recall correctly, a streamer that I was watching at the time was sponsored to watch the first episode when it premiered, so when I was watching his stream, I just ended up watching the show too. I think my reaction when he said he was going to watch an episode of a League of Legends show was,
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
but little did I know that this series was going to leave a mark on me that I could not have anticipated. For all I know, this situation never actually happened, but it's so vivid in my head that this was my introduction to the show that I have to believe that it was real. Either way, I continued the show on Netflix to finish off the first 3 episodes, and it was really over from there. I was now fully locked into the show, and nothing was going to take me away from it. Initially, what made me fall in love with the show was the focus that it placed on the sisterhood between Powder and Vi. It was something that simultaneously filled me with joy in the first 3 episodes and also completely shattered my heart within the same time span. The build-up within these episodes was so important because it set up the rest of the show, and every emotion that I felt when it came to these sisters stems from how everything went down in episode 3 of season 1. You can also see the character's fatal flaws within the first 3 episodes, whether that be Vi's unwavering loyalty and love that causes her to make decisions that don't lead to the best outcomes, or Powder's need to be helpful and fix things, which once again leads to outcomes that are catastrophic.
I can help them.
Even in season 2, episode 2, Jinx says this.
I used to say I could fix anything. Before I broke everything.
Honestly, all the characters are just so good. I'm not talking about their sides on the moral spectrum or whether they're likable or not, but they're just so interesting and have their own personal convictions. But regardless of whether you agree or disagree with a character's actions, you can still have some kind of understanding as to where they're coming from. Jinx would be the biggest example of this. Post-time skip, pretty much everything she does causes either death or dire consequences. But to chalk it up to she's crazy is just a disservice to the character. That's not to say her actions are excusable or justifiable, but rather you feel for the character and just want better for her. Or at least that's how I felt. I could really make an entire video on each individual character, but I'll digress for now. Well, actually, I want to talk about Victor for a second. He was someone that really threw me off guard. If there was something I really wasn't expecting, it was for him to become the antagonist of the series. Like, to see Victor go from someone with pure intentions who only wished to use hex tech to help the people, to someone who can't see the line between what it means to do good and what it means to go too far. Also, get it? The line. Top 3 songs in the series, by the way. When I read his character bio on the League of Legends website, it all made sense from there. Also, this line from season 1 really laid out this idea for his character.
We lost ourselves, lost our dream. In the pursuit of great, we failed to do good.
On my rewatch of the show, I realized that the signs were really all there, so this was by no means something that was out of nowhere. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there were some things in season 2 that made me a little bit nervous. Like, I felt they were introducing too many things and weren't gonna have enough time to wrap everything up. I'm mainly talking about the Black Rose Cabal. To me, it felt so disconnected from the main plot for a while, but they managed to wrap it all together within the 3rd act that I was satisfied with the continuation of it. I'm also happy Mel got to do more in the 2nd season too. There was a small hint at it at the end of season 1 when Jinx's rocket was headed towards the council, and I remember watching that scene and through all my tears and ugly crying, I remember saying, did she sense that or something? Granted, a giant rocket coming at you is not subtle or quiet, but the way it was framed made it seem like something was up with Mel, and we got to see that come to fruition in the 2nd season. And honestly, she absolutely carried in that last battle. Not only that, but her story from when we saw that flashback with her and her mother, Mbessa, comes full circle too.
If you want to last in this world, you must learn to be both the fox and the wolf.
Throughout the entire 1st season, we see Mel playing the role of the fox. She's working behind the scenes and trying to get Jace to do things her way without him even realizing. She does care for him, but she's still getting what she wants, you know? But in season 2, we really see her embrace the wolf, and Bessa literally says so as well. Let's talk a little bit about the music in Arcane. It's one of the best parts of the series, hands down. Apparently, every song they used was specifically created for the show. And it's clear because every single music choice feels intentional, and it always complements the scenes in ways where it just heightens your emotions. If I'm being honest, to me, it kind of feels like a musical a little bit. Like, obviously the characters aren't singing, but the way the music represents their feelings and everything that's going on the screen that we see, it feels like almost a musical. But I'll digress on that. Obviously, that's what music is supposed to do for a series, or a movie, or anything. But there are plenty of shows and movies that I have watched previously where I can't name or hum a single tune from the OST. Like listening to What Could Have Been, the top 3 song by the way, in the last episode of season 1 sent chills down my spine, and made the entire scene more epic and more tragic than I could have ever imagined. It really was like watching a masterpiece. Or listening to Ashes and Blood in the 3rd episode of the 2nd season, top 3 song by the way. I know we all felt the same thing when this part of the song started going. Or when Jinx let off the flare gun with Guns for Hire playing on top of it, top 3 songs in the series by the way, in season 1, and the visuals of what's haunting her are standing behind her, clinging on to her. I remember watching this moment so vividly. If I didn't think this show would alter my brain chemistry, then at this point I had no doubt. Or when Sucker started playing, top 3 songs by the way, and it feels like we get a look into Jinx's mind and how she feels about herself after everything that happened at the end of season 1. Season 2 is jam-packed with songs, and while at first I thought they were using it in lieu of exposition, I was fully captivated the whole time. Like the Hellfire scene, top 3 songs by the way. Do we see a pattern? Showcase what Caitlyn, Vi, and the Pilties were doing when they were releasing the Grey, served to show us everything we needed to know while not taking 10 minutes to explain it. Now, there are 2 musical moments that I want to talk about, and they both involve the same characters, Jinx and Ekko. The first one is from season 1, episode 6. I hope it's episode 6. Actually, let me go check. It's episode 7. The first one is from season 1, episode 7, The Boy Savior. And what a masterpiece of a scene. I know I said masterpiece before, and I'm going to say it plenty of times later. We knew that Ekko and Jinx were friends from Act 1, but this scene showed us what that friendship looked like when Ekko lets his stopwatch go. Jinx recognized that action, and she chuckles. The scene switching in and out from when they were kids playing a game to this life-or-death battle was just phenomenal. It also just gave us a glimpse as to what Ekko's power is. It just did so much in the span of 2 minutes that I just couldn't help but be in awe. The next scene is in season 2, episode 7, which is, can you guess, at this point, it's another top 3 song in the series. And let me just say, the reason this scene makes me emotional is honestly mainly because of Jinx. I'm sorry, it's just that she's my favorite character from the series, and knowing that there is a world where she is happy and doesn't live her life thinking she's just a curse to everyone around her really had me all the way fucked up. But if I really want to hurt my own feelings, we can also talk about the fact that out of every character we know from Zaun, Ekko is the only one who truly saw the transformation from Powder to Jinx. And I can't imagine the hurt that must have caused. So to see the 2 of them able to be happy together is somehow just heartbreaking, knowing that this is a universe that the Ekko that we know will never know himself. Talking a little bit more about episode 7 in season 2, this episode really took me off guard as well. But I also think it was a smart play. Not only did we need to know what the hell was happening with the Hex Core, but we also needed to slow the pace a little bit. Which might sound crazy considering how many plot points there were and how little time they had. Like there's only 2 episodes left in the series past this point. But all the information gathered from this episode really set up the last 2 perfectly. Wow, I just realized I haven't even talked about Isha yet. My goat. I mean, what else can I say? Have a character come in and allow Jinx to fill that role of big sister, where Jinx can see the childhood that she lost and want to preserve that for Isha, only for Isha to end up dying and further solidifying this idea in Jinx's head that everyone around her is doomed, which sends her into a spiral where she ends with the idea that the best way for the cycle to end is to die herself. Yeah, that fucked me up too. Let me talk about Vi for a second as well. I genuinely, with all of my heart, love Vi, and I will never understand her being solely blamed for the creation of Jinx. Will I acknowledge that she was an accidental catalyst in the creation of Jinx? Yeah, sure. But to say that she is the sole reason and blame her for everything bad in the show would just be wrong. You can see the amount of regret she had when she hit Powder. She was looking at her hands, something that was meant to protect, and how they were used to hurt the person she loves the most in the world. She tried to run back when she realized Powder was in danger, but Marcus had other ideas and incapacitated her. Vi's biggest flaw is her loyalty and love to the people she cares about, and it's just devastating to see. She believes in them so much to be good people, or that they still have good in them, or in the case of Vander, for him to go back to who he was.
You can't save him!
But it causes her to make decisions that end up backfiring on her all the time. I don't know how long this video has been going. I haven't even talked about Caitlyn yet. A rich girl and daughter of a councilwoman, but she's also someone who wants to protect and change how things operate, but is completely ignorant to the power hold that Piltover has over Zahn in the first season.
Your people hunt us like animals. Silco pays them to do it.
That's not possible. You're wrong.
Say that one more time.
Ekko, she believes what she's saying, okay? She's not your enemy.
Someone who turns into a commander and rules under martial law and is willing to release a chemical called the Grey on the Undercity, the place she was trying to protect in the first place. She knew deep down that she wasn't right for what she was doing, but she was so blinded by hatred that she didn't take the time to care. And Besser really took that opportunity to take advantage of her, and Caitlyn knows she can never take back what she did. Doesn't this just show you that characters are so interesting? Like, you can make an argument and be like, but they're flip-flopping all over the place. But we can also say that a lot of this is caused by the cycle of hatred, right? And I feel like that's kind of what the entirety of the last 2 episodes were really telling us, especially with Jinx. How do we end the cycle? We end the cycle when we have the power to walk away, right? Like, it really does bleed into Caitlyn's story too, that idea. Don't even get me started on Vander, because I already have tears on my face and I haven't even said anything yet. I know I haven't talked about Jace. I know I haven't talked about like the majority of the characters that I could, and I said I wouldn't talk about the characters, but here I am talking about the characters. I do really want to talk about Jinx, but I feel like I have too many thoughts about her and none of them are coherent at the moment, and I won't make any sense at all. And if I'm being honest, I'm not sure if any of this video makes sense because it's pretty much all over the place. I really wish I had a format for this video, but I just needed to start talking about the show. There's so much I didn't even get to touch on, but this was just a yapathon. It was for me. It was for me, really. But let me know what some of your favorite parts of Arcane were. I'm going to miss the show a lot, but overall, I'm glad that it ended and that the creators had an ending that they intended on. It's so easy to keep a successful show going, or series or franchise or whatever, until it becomes insufferable and just loses the magic it had when it started.